Imagine an airplane so difficult to find yourself aboard that you have a better chance of becoming an astronaut for NASA. 1 ounce of this aircraft costs twice as much as gold, and its combat power is capable of leveling several cities in a single flight. And yet, despite all this, it can't fly in rain, and sometimes mistakes large thunderclouds for mountains. It can fly from the USA to Moscow without landing, all while remaining completely invisible to radar thanks to its altitude and stealth. But we'll show who, where, and when someone was nevertheless able to photograph this beauty in the air. We'll tell you how this top-secret aircraft managed to create a record-setting expensive problem, and why it's been armed with nuclear bombs in peacetime. If you've ever wanted to see a UFO, then look no further than the American Northrop B-2 Spirit bomber. It's like something out of a Hollywood movie. However, despite its outlandish appearance, the Spirit is a terrifying weapon, as it was created to deliver a nuclear strike on the capital of America's #1 enemy during the Cold War. These capabilities came at no small expense. According to estimates, the entire project to create the Spirit cost $23 billion, making every ounce of this aircraft twice as valuable as an ounce of gold. It's the most expensive bomber in aviation history. Some even joke that it did far more damage to American taxpayers than it ever did to any enemy of the US. So what did the Americans get for such a high price? A stealthy, strategic, long-range heavy bomber capable of breaking through heavy air defenses and carrying out attacks at an altitude of 50,000 feet. The flight range of this monster is 7,500 miles without refueling. But if that's not enough, all it takes is 1 refueling in mid-flight, and it can fly anywhere in the world in just a few hours. After all, it was created with one goal in mind: to fly to Moscow and drop an atomic bomb in case the USSR threatened America. But it just so happened that the Soviet Union collapsed, and this idea was abandoned. However, after many years of service, the B-2 has shown that it can be more effective than 75 conventional aircraft. This is thanks to its high-precision weapons, which feature a special projectile for every task. One of the Spirit's many interesting weapon armaments is that it's used for carpet bombing. Surely you've heard of it. Well, the B-2 does so with 80 Mk-82 bombs, covering an area of 25 football fields with their explosive power. Its 36 CBU-89 cluster bombs can even demolish a small city. For more precise combat missions, there's the AGM-154 guided aerial bomb, whose 500 pounds of explosives and guided warhead always find the target. Thought that was all the Spirit could surprise you with? Well, you'd be wrong, because it can also use the same cruise missiles that attack fighters use. For example, the AGM-158, which can pierce the armor of even the strongest tank and is even more capable of destroying enemy air defense systems. And don't forget about the JDAM. It's a special complex that can turn any bomb into a guided bomb, so the pilot always has plenty of cool weapons on hand. However, it takes more than some powerful projectiles and a long flight range to carry out a successful attack. The plane must go undetected. The B-2's designers thought of everything ahead of time and gave it a unique boomerang-like shape. The aircraft is nearly invisible at some angles and could easily be mistaken for a bird. But that's not enough to evade advanced radar. For the first time ever, a unique chemical composition was developed to cover the entire frame of the B-2. It can absorb radio waves and keep the bomber hidden. This technology gave rise to the well-known stealth coating. However, this method of stealth had one major drawback. It turns out the composition wasn't water-resistant, so all of the invisibility simply washed off in the rain. A new coating had to be reapplied every time to at least mitigate the problem. Overall, the B-2 Spirit turned out to be problematic. A drop of water could disable it. And that's no joke. On February 23, 2008, shortly after takeoff during a training exercise, the plane careened to the side and crashed. Fortunately, both pilots managed to eject in time. An investigative committee concluded that the cause of the accident was negligence by the ground personnel who hadn't turned on the defrost to remove the condensation that had accumulated inside. Because of this, the aircraft control system locked up and began providing incorrect values for speed and altitude, causing the autopilot to turn on, which ultimately crashed the plane. A recreation of the situation on a simulator later showed that it would have been impossible to save the plane. This was the first ever crash of a B-2 Spirit, immediately becoming the most expensive crash in the history of aviation. The total damage was estimated at $1.4 billion. Because of its vulnerability to water, the aircraft requires a specialized hangar with a constant working air conditioning system. However, despite its drawbacks with proper handling, the Spirit is quite formidable in combat. Its fighting power is aided by cutting-edge equipment. The aircraft is equipped with 4 turbojet engines from General Electric, helping it achieve speeds of 620 miles per hour. Certainly not supersonic, but pretty close. Don't forget that we're talking about an enormous heavy bomber here. One interesting feature is its exhaust temperature control system, which minimizes thermal emissions, thereby reducing visibility. To locate enemies, it has a hidden multi-target radar with several detection and tracking modes. In truth, the original model turned out to be quite weak. The Spirit's pilot couldn't know exactly what they were flying over. Were they rocks or clouds? The radar was soon replaced with 2 new ones with an active phased array. They gave the aircraft the ability to fly at low altitude while scanning a 150-mile wide section of terrain. The B-2 navigation system includes the Rockwell-Collins tactical system, which relieves the burden on pilots by taking on some of the control functions. To transmit data, the plane uses the Link 16 satellite communication system, also known as the Heavenly Internet. You've probably heard of it. The aircraft is equipped with a target identification system that transmits data between the radar and precision-guided munitions. The cockpit has an interesting setup. It's designed for 2 crew members and is equipped with everything it needs for combat. It has a convenient dashboard, high-resolution screens, and even an ergonomic chair. How's that for an office? The digital panels display flight, engine, and sensor data, as well as the status of avionics and weapon systems, all of which can be adjusted. The pilot can activate the appropriate equipment mode for each individual mission, whether it be a simple flight or an all-out war. Despite all of its technical gadgets, stealth mode, hidden engines, and a secret storage location, a Google Maps satellite was still able to capture a photo of it. Coordinates of where the plane could be seen quickly spread across the internet. Of course, the Pentagon caught wind of this very quickly and erased all traces of the plane, but the fact remains that the plane turned out to be very inconsistent. However, the invaluable experience that American aircraft manufacturers gained was not in vain. American designers are already working on the B-2 Spirit's heir, the B-21 Raider, signaling a new epoch in the evolution of bombers. Everything good about its predecessor was taken and magnified to the highest degree, along with some added details. The B-21 is a dual-purpose combat aircraft that can both destroy the enemy and conduct perfect reconnaissance. It'll also be able to penetrate deep into enemy territory through echelons of air defense systems to make contact with critical positions. Helping it to do so are its hypersonic speed and modern stealth coating known as transparent skin, which completely inhibits radar activity. It'll destroy targets with advanced cluster munitions as well as ultra-precise guided missiles that leave nothing but a giant crater at the impact site. On top of all that, this model will carry nuclear weapons, from which there is no escape. The Raider's radar is capable of taking in information at supersonic speeds with sensors so precise that they can even detect a squirrel hiding under a bush. And that's not all. The Raider will serve as team captain to a dozen different drones. Under its leadership will be universal scouts, loitering munitions, and even shock drones. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. The B-21 itself has 2 types of control modes. The first is standard with the pilot inside. The second is automated and doesn't require a crew. This is in fact a full-fledged unmanned bomber that can control other drones. It all sounds great on paper so far, but if there's one thing we've learned today, it's that no aircraft is perfect. What pitfalls await the Raider, we can only guess. The U.S. Air Force plans to purchase up to 145 of these aircraft as an excellent replacement for the trusty yet troubled B-2 Spirit, which can finally begin its well-earned retirement. With that, our video has come to an end. Thanks for watching all the way through. I'd be immensely grateful if you'd subscribe to the channel and let me know what you think about the video in the comments. Have a nice day, and see you soon.